pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chief Deputy, would you call the roll?
Mr. Garner? Mr. Mollenauer?
Present.
Mr. Novak?
Present.
Mr. Quinn?
Present.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Present.
Mr. Santana?
Present.
Mr. Yagowski?
Present.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the floor for the nomination of President of the Council
Madam
for
Auditor,
2020. Yes.
Move to nominate, or I nominate Mike Mollenauer as President.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
That's Madam Chair.
Mr. Yagowski?
Yeah, I make a motion to nominate Jeff Santana, please.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Madam Chief Deputy, would you call the roll? And would you vote for the person of your choice? Are there any other nominations? Let me ask that before I
nominate Joey Winston.
Second.
She's not available.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Mr. Mollenauer.
Mr. Quinn?
Mr. Mollenauer.
Mr. Novak?
Mr. Santana.
Mr. Yagowski?
Mr. Santana.
Mr. Mollenauer?
Mr. Mollenauer.
Mr. Santana?
And
It's a 3-3.
I didn't vote.
I didn't hear Jeff yet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm voting for me.
Okay.
That's what I assumed.
There's a tie.
So it's 3-3.
What do we do? Do we take another vote? One of the Mr. Attorneys.
Well, you gotta turn your mic, please.
It's going to stay put. You're going to have to. Mr. Novak is going to have to remain the president until you have
a quorum.
Until you have a quorum here.
A definite period of time. You're not retired.
And you're going to keep Terry out of state for a year.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to hand the gavel over to you until that
So
such
then
time
do we
he
do
has.
nominations for vice president?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Would Randy do that,
No, you
or
do it.
would the auditor?
Randy does it.
Yeah, Randy would do
Yeah.
that. Get back to your seat. Yeah. Just thrilled that I got retained by one job. I thought the same thing for you, pal.
For at least 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Till we get one more guy. Now, nominations for vice president are now open.
I make a nomination for vice president for Mike Mollenauer.
Is there a second? Is that a yes?
Yes, second.
Okay. You have a second by Mr. Yagowski. Is there any other nominations for vice president? Any other nominations for vice president? Nominations are closed. Please call the roll, Madam Auditor.
Joey, I would have voted for you.
Thanks. Mr. Mollenauer,
Mr. Mollenauer.
Mr. Novak,
Aye.
Mr. Quinn,
Nay.
Mr. Rosenbaum,
Nay.
Mr. Santana,
Mike Mollenauer.
and Mr. Yagowski.
Mike Molnar.
The motion passes 4-2.
4-2 for VP.
So, I'm vice president. Mr. Moldenauer is currently the vice president, but at our next meeting, he could still, the nomination's open with all 7 of us here, and he could still be nominated if that was the, just,
True. Yeah.
That is correct.
okay, just so everybody understands.
Yeah.
All right. Let me clarify that before. Stranger things have happened.
Wouldn't look like outlaws.
Public comment. Public comment is now open. Is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak? Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Public comment is now closed. New business? Appointment of legal counsel. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to retain Guy DiMartino. So we got a second on the other end.
We have a motion by Mr. Santana, seconded by
Mr. Rosenbaum.
Mr. Rosenbaum.
I want to make sure you got the name right this year.
I did. It took me that long. Is there any other buddy you'd like to consider? Hearing none. All those in favor of retaining Mr. Guy DiMartino?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Planning for year 2020, approval of the regular minutes. You should have a schedule attached.
Yep.
Do we have those conflicts on there like we did before?
Are they all Mondays or did we?
There's, excuse me,
September
Did you already
usually.
move the,
May is a Tuesday.
All right.
That's
I think everything else is Monday.
That's the state meeting.
No, that's a Memorial Day.
What about we always run for conflict with you guys?
September.
They do our, well, at least they did this year. They did a local meeting for our second, the fall meeting. The
September
auditors
conference
meeting,
is
they
in
changed
September.
to the week before Memorial Day for the spring, and then October meeting, they did like local, regional meetings.
You said
So
it's
it's
in South
easier on
Bend.
all of
It's
that.
in the Falls and South Bend.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any issues with any of the dates here? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Moldenauer, second by Mr. Quinn. Is there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? County council appointments to boards.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Hughes.
I'd like to make a motion that we hold this off till next meeting so we can advertise it. We didn't have very many people apply for it. Usually at the end, we always advertised in December. We didn't send out any information for
Right.
advertising.
I think
We
only got
do
couple
have a few letters.
I know, but that's
But
not a,
we,
minute.
and Mr. Schultz has asked that we hold off on the PETA-BOA because they may have to change the structure of their meeting.
Does anybody on the council have a problem with holding off on these until our
maybe advertise.
next, and we'll do that prior to our next meeting?
Who did you say requested we hold off?
Schultz.
For Peter Boa.
Right. I know we got very few letters. I know some of the people want to stay on, but I don't know that they knew to get their letters in by tonight.
Also, Mr. President, okay, let's make that motion first. I'll have it right
All right. Did we have a motion?
Yeah.
Is it the table all or just Peter Ball?
They all.
We'll table all of them.
Okay. I do have a question on the redevelopment commission. Is that not the 3 of us, or is there 3 other people that we?
Well, it could be
You can
3
co-
other people.
You can consider anyone, but right.
Okay, because I thought it might be good to hold that one separate and do that tonight, get that over with.
What I was going to do with my second motion is I was going to, that anybody that's on the current boards can follow up through the end of January, finish up their term to the end of January. So I was going to make that as a second motion, then we could do it all at one time, but I don't care.
Unless, well, and it's going to be up to the redevelopment commission, the 3 members on the redevelopment commission, we could probably do that separate because they're voted on by the entire board, the entire council. So those are not appointed by the president, correct, Attorney? I'm getting nods. So
Right.
we can reappoint or at least address that one separately so that that's in place and we don't have to worry about that.
Are we doing a motion? It'll be all of them except for the redevelopment commission.
All right. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, can I?
Yes.
Again, we're here with 6 people, and you've got another one. If there's anyone else that might have wanted to be on that, and Terry's not here to speak for himself, why don't we just hold that one to the 27th too?
Because we have a meeting between now and then.
You have a redevelopment?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on there, so.
Okay, can't postpone that? Well, that's fine.
I mean, we'll see what the vote, if it's a tie or something there.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, I'm just trying to give opportunity to everyone that might have interest.
I understand that this is a regular scheduled meeting, and if somebody wanted to be, they probably should have been there. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we have a motion to hold all the appointments, board appointments, over to our regular meeting later this month, except for the redevelopment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that all the current appointments be okay until January 27th of 2020. In other words, if they have a meeting to go to, they can still go to the meeting yet.
Correct. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good. Now, as far as the redevelopment commission, what is your pleasure? I currently serve as the president of the redevelopment commission.
And are the other 2 his appointments? I mean, does the president?
No, they're the councils.
So we got to vote for each one of you?
Right, unless somebody else wants it. You could say, let's leave all 3 of them there. I will tell you, this is me speaking. The 3 people that are there attend the meetings very regularly. So, and that's important with the redevelopment commission. So, if you want to do something different, nominations are open right now. So, what would you like to do?
I'd like to make a motion that the present 3 be retained for the year 2020.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or other nominations?
Terry Gardner. I'm only doing it because
I know, because
he's not, opportunity should be given to all.
We have a motion for
That's the only reason.
nomination for Terry Gardner. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? That nomination fails. So is there anybody else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the current 3 people being retained for the year 2020, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. So those board appointments will be held over for the next meeting, Madam Auditor. Discussion on liaison assignments. This will also be determined by the new president at our next meeting. So anybody that wants to move things around or do things, I know there's some discussions that we're having. So it's just a discussion. I know we talked about including Mitch Bishop in with the planning or having his own liaison assignment for this next year. Right. So we need to make sure we pick him up. So is there anything else anybody has on liaisons?
Just a matter of fact, Mr. President, that because of the change of the governor's appointment and the state of Indiana's appointment, I no longer am 2 of the positions. That knocked me down to 3, but because the council's never adopted the fact that the GIS is a separate unit, which it was years ago, it still runs under the auditor. You already have an auditor, and so I really only have 2. So I just brought it up for point of conversation because of no untoward act of mine. I've been dismissed from 2 of them. How'd that sound good?
Welcome to the club.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, and like I said, we'll be talking. There's some things that
sounds good.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything else on liaisons? No? Council comments?
No, I have something on new business.
Yes.
New business, I'd like to consider at this time, because we had last meeting, we brought it up. I know that the actual vote will happen here in January 27th, but I'd like to at least make a motion for support tonight for a $5,000 bonus for our maintenance supervisor, Larry Lewandowski.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion of support for $5,000 for our maintenance supervisor for the year 2020.
Salary bonus, so that we.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
What,
Would you like to specify when that should be paid, or do you care?
Well,
Pay it all at
you
once
can
or what?
It'll be due January 1st, but you can prorate it after January 27th for January 1st. So
Because we
Okay,
got approve it
the
then.
approval will be the January 27th meeting.
Good call.
Prorated from January 1st.
thank you.
I don't know.
is prorated
It's going to
the
be
right
a one.
word?
It's going to be a one-time shot. Isn't
He's
it?
going to get all five. It's not a proration. It's just going to be retroactive.
I'm sorry. Retroactive. Apology.
All right.
I'm good with that. So
Does anybody else have anything? Comments, Mike? Who's looking down there? Just
I'm good, thank you.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Mr.
And like I
President,
said, that will be on the next agenda.
Mr.
also.
President?
Yes, Mr. Yagowski.
I'd like to make a motion that the planner be sent to the, that'd be a motion, just ask that the planner be sent to the committee for consideration of whatever we decide to do with personnel committee. Thank you. Personnel committee.
yeah.
So, is that a motion?
Yes.
All right. Do we have a second?
Sure. Yes, I'll second and expound on this a little bit, Mark, if you can.
Well, we had talked at the last meeting, if you remember correctly, that Randy had brought up at the time, for some of us had the same opinions, that there should be a job consideration. Depending on what the commissioners have their meeting, depends what they end up doing. So I don't know that answer. So that's why at this time, I like to make sure it goes in front of the committee.
They would be referred to the personnel committee if they were going to come back with a dollar amount.
A recommendation.
Right, on his.
Gotcha.
I think so. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Right. Is there any other new business? Is there any council comments?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Yagowski.
HR director would like to talk about that.
Do you have anything? Yeah, I think so, yeah. Did we say it wrong? We like to refer to it as a personnel.
Job evaluation. Yeah.
So, that's one of those where you got to pull out your handbook and look, and it says the same as. Yeah. All right. So our regular meeting is going to be on January 27th. Hearing no other business, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.